Welcome to Life Stories with me, Des Tong. Now, my guest this week, at the age of 15, had a #1 record all around the world. And his band were just, well, young kids, musical youth. Welcome, Dennis Seaton.
I did.
That must have been one incredible time.
It was, yeah. I can't say it's surreal, because we didn't even know what to expect. When the single went to #1, the record company actually didn't think it was going to go to #1, because at the time it was at it went from number 55 or something, then to 26, then jumped straight to #1.
Because that was in the days when records came in and climbed.
That's
instead
right.
of now they come in and drop.
Drop. Yeah. And also the charts came out on a Tuesday, and we were actually recording the first album, Youth of Today. And we'd looked in the paper because we used to travel. If anybody knows London, we used to travel. If they think the traffic is bad now, it's just as bad back then, 30 years ago. But we used to travel in a taxi. They used to pick us up in the morning, and we were supposed to get to the studio for 10:30. Well, the taxi used to take 2 hours to get across London. Yeah. And in that time, you know, you got 5 young kids in the car, all trying to find something to do. So we read in the paper that we was #7. So then when we get to the studio, Charlie Ayer, the A&R guy from MCA, phones up and says, "Listen, guys, you're #1." And we're like, "No, we're not. We've read in the paper. It's #7. So Michael gets on the phones and says, "Listen, if you're lying, we're going to batter you." Just right, probably, you know. And then he said, no. He said, go, you know, when it comes out, go upstairs, have a listen to the radio. So we were at the Workout studio, which is owned by Manfred Mann. And so we went upstairs, it was in the top room, and listened. And when we didn't even dawn on us that got to #7, and we still ain't been called. And then when it got to #1, well, the #2 song was Zoom by Fat Larry's band. Yeah. And I still think, how did we beat that song? And when the DJ announced, listen, and going in at #1, jumping 25 places, Musical Youth, the back of my neck, the hairs on the back of my neck, we just went crazy. And yeah, and I think it was the cheapest #1 party ever. I can't believe a #1 party. All we had was Kentucky and orange, and I think the adults had some champagne, but that was it. That was our lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
John Peel was a big fan of yours as well.
John Peel, yeah, he was the biggest influence on our career. A lot of artists, to be fair. I mean, if John was about and he didn't play your stuff, you weren't going anywhere. And probably the last of his type of DJ, you know, total autonomy. He chose what he wanted, and he started with. Before I joined the band, Patrick and Junior's dad, Fred, was singing lead, so they did a record called Politicals and Generals, and he played that first, and that's where we got the recognition, or somebody phoning up from A&M, which was Charlie Ayer, saying, "Look, I'm interested, I want to come and see it." And when he came and seen that Fred was singing, he actually said, "Look, you can't have this old man singing music, you better go and get somebody." And that's where I came in. Right. And then he gave us another session. So we did 2 John Peel sessions, one with Fred singing lead, and the second one was with me. And I think we did 3, because we went back and did another one. But when he played it, he pushed the band forward. He helped us go that next step.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Let's go back then. So you were born in Birmingham.
Yes.
So was it Marston Green?
Marston Green Hospital, which is no more, but that's where I was born. Most people I know were born at Dudley Road. My kids were born at Dudley Road, so yeah. But no, Marston Green Hospital. Formative years, remember a little bit. I mean, my junior school was St Matthew's in Nechells, and St Matthew's backed onto Duddeston Manor. I think I remember when we filled in the forms, it was, you know, you get 4 choices. I think it was 4 choices at the time. I just put Duddeston Manor, Duddeston. But that's because my brother went to the school, my sisters went to the school, so It was like, I'm gonna go to Duddeston. Yeah. And yeah, some of the best times of my life was at Duddeston Manor.
So when you were there, music, did you have any sort of, you know, was music in the school curriculum? Did you think
Yes, it was. Yeah, I played cello. I played cello, and I used to have to lump this cello from school to home and home back. And I was in the orchestra, and it's where I met Junior. We used to play football in the summer, and that's where we clicked and became friends. And funny enough, he says to me, "Listen, I used to sing a little bit, but I wasn't serious about it." I wanted to be a footballer first, then an electrician. And we used to play football, me, him and Patrick. We used to hang out all the time. We were like, anywhere one was, the other was. If he had a girlfriend, I had a girlfriend. That's how it was. And he said, look, you know, my dad started his band and I'm going to play drums and Patrick's going to play bass. Maybe you can sing. I said, maybe. And then he said, and we've got these other two who are playing guitar and keyboards. And I got to meet Michael and Calvin because they used to have to walk. If anybody knows Nechel's, there's a road called Cromwell Street. Yeah. And it's about, it seems like it's 5 miles long, but it's only probably about a quarter of a mile. But when you've got a lump of guitar at 8 years old from the number 8 bus along that road, it's a heavy guitar.
Yeah.
So I used to help Calvin carry his guitar, which was bigger than him, to rehearsals. And I went to the very first musical youth rehearsal. I was there. I could say I was there. And when Junior asked his dad if he was looking for a singer, his dad said, Fred said no. And then he said, well, Dennis could sing. So Fred got me on the keyboard. I had no formal training or nothing. And he started playing and I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, he just said, not good enough. See you later. Don't come back. Don't come back. Banned me from rehearsals. So whilst I used to see Junior and Patrick every day, when it came to rehearsals, I was gone. I had to wait outside. And that was, the funny thing was, I lived at number 23 Offanem House, Kellett Road, Nechel's. Fred lived at 17, but he moved in when we moved out. So we moved to the other end of Nechel's where they built a new housing estate, and Fred was there. So that's where they used to rehearse, in his living room.
So when you actually eventually joined, were you writing? You know, was there writing involved or?
Well, funny, yeah. I mean, when I joined, it was, bearing in mind I knew all the band, so I knew everything. Because Junior's my best friend, so anything that went on in the band I knew. So by the time I come to join, it was, we had a little, how can I say, audition where it was open. Nobody turned up apart from me.
Best way to get
Best of a bad bunch. Best of a bad bunch. And yeah, I had a little dabble in writing, and we wrote. In fact, me and Junior worked really well together. It was just, I suppose, because we were best friends, we just clicked. So when it came to writing some songs, I think the first rehearsals, we wrote a song called Girl, a simple ditty, but it was reggae. And I sang it at the very first gig we did at the Casablanca Club, and I couldn't sing. It was, Fred was singing, and then he'd call me out. It was Casablanca Club in Cardiff, and the first note, girl, I really, and that's exactly, and the whole song went. It was just crazy. I look back at it, I think, how the heck did you cope with that? I was only 14 though.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we just carried on writing, and we wrote the B-sides. We always wrote the B-sides.
Yeah.
And most of the first album.
Right. And you were nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, that was a strange feeling. When we got nominated for a Grammy, bearing in mind that reggae in America was mainly, obviously still is now, Bob Marley, but they didn't really know reggae, but they took to musical youth, like a Dr. Water, East Coast and West Coast. So we get the call, you've been nominated for a Grammy. I understood what it was. I knew this. And the rest of the guys, yeah, we're nominated, just another thing to us, to them. And it was only when we went to the Grammy Awards that we realised how big this thing was. And I think it was a long time before another British artist got nominated for a Grammy. I mean, because we got nominated as Best Newcomers alongside Eurythmics, Culture Club, Big Country.
Right.
So you can imagine.
Names there,
and there's no reggae section. The funny thing was, when they put a reggae section in for the Grammys, the next year, Still Pulse won it. And we met so many members who said, look, we voted for you because we thought you had an impact.
Yeah. And you were the first black act on MTV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually on MTV, without them being cajoled. I only found out 2 weeks ago, it was Pete Waterman told me, he said it was Tom Petty who championed you guys to get on MTV.
Wow.
And we actually went into the studios where all the other artists were, Michael Jackson, they had to threaten. We would just shoot in, and we didn't think nothing of it. I mean, we spent the summer watching MTV, you know, recording the second album. And we recorded that second album out in LA, but MTV was in New York. And we'd flown in, it was February, we'd flown in from Jamaica in February, you know, 35 degree heat.
Because you did you do the Sunsplash
hadn't quite done Sunsplash then. We went to do the videos. We did the videos for Never Gonna Give You Up and Heartbreaker.
I love it the way record companies fly you out to Jamaica, to do a video.
Yeah, but we also did a documentary at the same time. So it was all, I think when we flew across, the whole one side of the Air Jamaica flight was everybody involved with the band. So it was just a big party from London to Jamaica. And then we went to New York, -8. So it was like, oh. Yeah, but yeah, we had a great time. We also did Saturday Night Live with Joan Rivers.
Yeah, brilliant. So, take a break there.
Yeah.
We'll be back with Dennis Seaton after this break. Welcome back to Life Stories with me, Des Tong, and my guest this week, Dennis Seaton from Musical Youth. Now, yeah, fantastic stories there.
Yeah.
Then you went on to do, Montreux Jazz Festival.
Yeah, July 10th, 1983. Yeah, how do I know that? Because somebody kept writing, what was he doing on July 10th? I don't know. It was Calvin's birthday, the 9th. Michael's on the 6th, and I know we were there. I remember doing the gig and coming back and going in the swimming pool. That was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Montreux. Again, we didn't realise how big these festivals were because we played some big festivals.
Yeah.
Reggae Sunsplash was probably the biggest reggae festival going.
Yeah.
We did that, and that was a great success. We didn't get on till like 2, 3 in the morning. So, and I think anytime you see that Reggae Sunsplash, we had the longest time because Calvin told the audience off. A Jamaican audience who's cussing them is like, "What are you doing? Live up!" Yeah, it was funny. It was good.
And you did Ghana, 110,000.
Yeah, that was the biggest audience I've ever played in front of, and it's poignant because I'd never been to Ghana. We'd been to Nigeria and done some sellout shows there, and it was at the time when the band was going through a hiatus of will we, won't we? So it was me, Junior, and Patrick that went, and we took a backing band from Birmingham. Jackie Mitu, legendary keyboard player from the Scatterlights, and he was one of the writers of Past the Kutchi, which was what Dutchie became.
Yeah.
He was on the tour, so it was brilliant playing with him. And we shared the same birthday, but Christmas Day, 1985, I'm on a bus going to a place called Kumasi, and I don't know where this place is. I'm not happy. First ever day out of the country, Christmas Day. But we sing a song called 007, and in the song it goes, Ashanti Tribe. Well, in Kumasi is the biggest Ashanti tribe in Ghana. So there's 110,000 people. We had to sing the song twice. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't let us out the venue.
Yeah.
We were playing with Osabisa, legendary Ghanaian band.
I did that with Glastonbury played with them.
Yeah, Osabisa.
Yeah.
And Frank Tonto, God rest his soul. And they put us on first. Well, could we get out we couldn't. It took them 2 hours to get us out the venue. So there's 80,000 people in front of me, 30,000 people behind me. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. I loved it though. Yeah. Absolutely loved it.
Then 85, you left, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to, Patrick wasn't well, and I just thought, I'm not happy, and my happiness was important to me. And I just said, you know what, I can't do it. I suppose if somebody would have said to us all, listen, you guys need to take a break. You've been in each other's pockets for the last how many years? And these guys are my best friends, and it was kind of a wrench. But I had to make a decision for my sanity more than anything. I wasn't thinking about how much money I'm going to earn or I'm going to lose. It was just my mental well-being. And my decision, hindsight, shows me that I was right because Patrick passed away, unfortunately, very young. And people look at me and go, was it drugs? And I'd like to say, yeah, it was drugs, but it wasn't. He had a rare heart condition, which they're seeing more and more of now. His brother, Junior, didn't take well, and Calvin, he kind of took into the back. And Michael went off and did his own thing with his remixing, with his 5 a.m. records and stuff. And I had to come to a stage where I just thought, I was supposed to do a tour in Ireland. I spent 6 months in Ireland, right? And I spent 3 months living in Dublin, touring and just gigging. I was only supposed to be there for a few weeks, ended up doing a whole lot. But I went to places where black people never went, so you can imagine. It was a bunch of us from Birmingham, and we travelled around in this coach.
Fantastic.
And we went down to this place called Ballybunion, and they knew we were coming. the coach broke down on the middle of the high street. We had to get out and push it. And then sometimes we'd have to push this coach up the hill because it was too heavy. But then when I came back from Ireland, I'd gone to see Stevie and asked him if he'd write some songs for me.
Shall we say who Stevie is?
Oh, Stevie Wonder, the living legend. The living legend, one of my musical heroes. And he said yes. What? Anyway, my manager, he's Irish, Dave Morgan. He said, we got to get this sorted. So what happened then was, we managed to go and see Chris Blackwell, and I had to go to Chris Blackwell's apartment in London and play him some of my stuff. You got to imagine, I'm 19 or 20 now, and this man who found Bob Marley, U2, who else we got? Steve Winwood, all them guys, and he's gone, yeah, interesting. He says, what do you want? First he says, what do you think your music's going to sound like in 5 years' time? Anyway, I said, I suppose I'm listening to Prince and Stevie at the moment, so I suppose it'll be a mixture between that. He said, that sounds interesting. What do you want? So we did the deal, went out to LA, was only supposed to be there for 2 weeks. Well, we ended up spending like 10, 11 months. One, because my manager had a heart attack at 36. So he ends up open heart surgery, can't fly. So we ended up staying there and got to record with Stevie. Then he came over and we did a video together. And it's one of the only videos Stevie's ever appeared in. So he did 2 songs for the album, What You're Talking About, which we did the video for, and See You Later. Produced, written, sang, and I sang alongside him. It was just... And then when I came back, I ended up working with Steve Hackett from Genesis.
Yeah.
Steve Hackett said...
Now that's a weird one.
Steve Hackett looked at me and went, you must be really good, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you've got Stevie Wonder. You're singing his songs. He can't see what you're doing. Yeah. All he can do is hear.
Yeah.
He said, so if all he can hear, and he's written the song, it must be good. And I didn't see it like that. So when I explain to vocalists now and art singers, I always say to them, look, what you got to imagine is, this person's blind. They can't see you. They can't see all the histrionics. Yeah. All they can hear is your voice. Yeah. So if there's no texture, if there's no feel, they know. And that's how I put it across now.
That's great, yeah. Yeah.
It's...
and you do a lot with... I read you do a lot with young people, don't you?
Yeah, I try and help them out as much as I can. I've got a young singer that I helped out. He's on the circuit now, Scott Wilkes. When I first met him at 50, he was 15 singing. He was singing Elvis. And I said to his dad, I said, as much as it's good, you can't have him singing Elvis. No. It'll just come a parody. And it's chicken and egg for me. Scott was one. Then I had a young girl, Harley Blue. We had her, and it just... Trouble is, once we get young people, you're trying to mould them, but the influences from the parents is so important. Because if the parents aren't together, if they're just thinking money, 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 as a musician, we don't think like that.
No,
we think
no.
Art, 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 art. Yeah. Good, 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 good. Better, 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 better. If you're concentrating on the money for the music industry, we've got no chance.
You're getting people turning up now who all they want the kids to be able to do is learn how to sing a song to go on X Factor.
Yeah, yeah. And that's only 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But you've got to give a show.
Yeah.
When you come to a musical youth gig, I try and get the whole audience involved. Obviously, our style of reggae, I'll stop it and swing it and pull it back and hold it up, I always enjoy doing gigs because that's what I grew up doing. Yeah. I mean, I ended up working, but that was just to find something to do.
Didn't you have a car hire company?
Yes, I did. I ended up with the car hire company because I decided when I came back to Birmingham from London, having tried to chase my dream of a record deal, I thought, you know what, I'm not coming back and doing nothing. I'm not lazy. And I ended up, and it was my manager who said, you've never worked a day in your life, so you don't know nothing about it. So it was him, and I said, I'll show him. And I ended up doing car rental, and I stayed in it for 12 years, going from a delivery driver, rental manager, and I ended up owning my own company. So I knew it all. And then I just sold it.
Yeah. But you're working now again.
I do work. It's only because I get bored. If I don't find something to do, I'll be like, because music can be boring once you've done so many things. So I train people now in powered access and working at height. And it's fun because I don't have to talk about it. I mentioned musical references, but there's some guys that come on, like summertime, I get all the riggers and the lighting guys, and I can tell them about their PA company, whatever, and they don't know my background. Yeah. And it's so, I just like, yeah, we did that. Yeah. So yeah, it's so fun.
You did the Shard Fest, didn't you, the other week?
We did Shard Fest. We did 2 festivals in one day.
See, there you go. 2 festivals in a day.
Yeah, it sounds like a song. But yeah, Shard Fest was fun. Some local guys putting something together. We did a free gig as well for a TV show earlier in the year. And we've just finished a new album called When Reggae Was King. And it's all reggae songs that were based from 1972 to 1982. Reason being is because between them years, there wasn't a year that a reggae song wasn't in the top 20. So that's the reason why we come out with When Reggae Was King.
We could talk all night.
Oh, yeah, probably. It's only a short life.
Michael, it's been fantastic to talk to you.
Yeah.
And, well, long may the musical youth still keep going.
Well, I don't look youthful enough. Well, my cousin says I'm the only person who's can actually go to his grave saying he's a youth.
That's brilliant.
That's me.
Thanks ever so much.
Cheers, Des.
So, join me next week for another one of my guests from the entertainment industry on Life Story.